Hello and welcome to News Review. Liberal Democrat for Gibraltar MEP Sir Graham Watson is claiming victory in securing air passenger rights for Gibraltar. The European Parliament voted on proposals to strengthen passenger rights, with these now extended to those travelling to and from Gibraltar, despite Spain's efforts to exclude the ROC.
The new measures will allow for greater passenger rights in matters such as compensation and the right to free food and accommodation in the case of severe delays. They aim to update the existing EU legislation, and once again, Spain has attempted to block their application to Gibraltar, in contravention of the 2006 Córdoba agreements, which state that Gibraltar Airport would in future benefit from all applicable EC regulations and directives.
Well, in the past, Gibraltar Airport has been excluded from these laws, so rights applying to people who are using Gibraltar Airport have simply not applied. This is because of the so-called famous exclusion clause worked out between Spain and Britain. I think that clause is disgraceful, and I'm delighted that MEPs have shared my view and voted it out of the legislation.
Sir Graham today put forward an amendment to delete a clause through which Spain sought to exclude Gibraltar, and the amendment was passed. He's described this as a victory for passengers, for Gibraltar, and for the equal treatment of all EU citizens.
Well, I'm very pleased that my amendment was voted through in the House. I think it is very significant because it means that members of the European Parliament from across the European Union have recognised that Gibraltar people are being denied their rights, and they have voted to do something about it.
Sir Graham is now urging the UK to take up the cudgels in the Council to make sure Gibraltar is fully included in the final legislation. Member States will meet in the Transport Council in June with a view to agreeing a position.
And the government has welcomed the deletion of the Gibraltar exclusion clause from the air passenger rights legislation. A number of amendments in support of Gibraltar were tabled by both the Conservative and Liberal groups of MEPs, but were defeated. However, the amendment tabled by the European Liberals through Sir Graham Watson was accepted by the European Parliament. The amendment regulation now goes back to the European Commission and the European Council. And also taking part in the debate in the European Parliament was the UK Independent Party. Two UKIP MEPs represent Gibraltar, with the Earl of Dartmouth also taking part in the debate.
Spain. And this has resulted in massive and unacceptable delays. And incidentally, the people who suffer are mostly Spanish citizens. Because of the problems at the land border, air travel becomes of prime importance. And attempts have been made, are being made, by members of this Parliament, by means of legislative devices, to suffocate air travel in and out of Gibraltar's airport. This must not be, and this is a disgrace, and I urge you to support the amendments today.
Thank you. You seem to not have a very good memory on Gibraltar, because the cases that have taken place, the incidents, if you're talking about the lines that go to Gibraltar, well, there are inspectors from the Commission who have gone to Gibraltar to see whether the rules of Schengen are being respected or not, and whether that's led to any difficulties. And so I think you need to actually read the conclusions of the inspectors, and nothing has been exaggerated. Procedure has been properly followed, and people have just been fighting tobacco smuggling.
Sir, let me first of all assure you that my memory is excellent, and I suspect rather better than yours. Yes, the Commission did make a visit. The Commission stupidly and predictably gave the Spanish government about 6 weeks' notice. So for the purpose of that one visit, the Spanish authorities, for want of a better word, cleaned up their act. The reality is that these delays are still going on, and you and your colleagues should be heartily ashamed of yourselves.
The Deputy Chief Minister, Dr. Joseph Garcia, said that if Spain persists with trying to dismantle the 2006 Córdoba agreements, one option open to the UK is to stop the payment of pensions to former Spanish workers on the ROC. Dr. Garcia was speaking to GBC following Spain's unsuccessful bid in the European Parliament to exclude the application to Gibraltar Airport of proposed legislation on air passenger rights. Under the Córdoba Agreement, all EU aviation measures should apply to Gibraltar. Joseph Garcia questioned how long Spain can be allowed to cherry-pick the Córdoba agreements, keeping what for them are the good bits and rejecting the areas where Gibraltar wants progress. And he said that non-payment of the Spanish pensions is an option, although it remains to be seen whether the UK will exercise it. Dr. Garcia spoke to Stephen Nish, who began by pointing out that for the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats, the amendment passed this week doesn't go far enough.
No, our view and the advice that we have is that the regulation now applies to Gibraltar as it is currently drafted, because the clause which explicitly excluded Gibraltar is not in the legislation anymore. Now, we need to bear in mind that this is a draft. The draft now needs to be discussed between the Parliament that has made this change to the legislation and the Council, who are the 28 transport ministers of the 28 countries of the European Union, and they now need to thrash it out between themselves. But it is important for us that the exclusion clause has been taken out. I mean, this is the second time this has happened. It happened in 2006, just before Córdoba, and because Córdoba came along, then it became irrelevant because the clause was changed and it wasn't there anymore. This is the first time now when the Parliament and the Council will need to sit down and discuss the effects of this. Our view is very clear. We believe that European law on civil aviation applies to Gibraltar, that Gibraltar is entitled to be included, and that is what the amendment that Sir Graham Watson tabled and the Parliament has passed actually achieves.
Is it a bit worrying that the various MEPs for Gibraltar from the different parties don't seem to be, if you like, singing from the same hymn sheet? They don't exactly seem to know what's going on?
Well, I think clearly that they're doing things which support Gibraltar, which back the Gibraltar position, which is that we should be in it. I mean, that's obviously something which the government is grateful for, and we've had members of the European Parliament, as we said in a statement, from all political colours and from different nationalities supporting Gibraltar. Our understanding is there were 332 votes in favour and 293 votes against. Obviously, that 332 includes the Liberal group who proposed the amendment in the first place. It includes the Conservatives who have been very supportive. It includes the party, the European political grouping to which UKIP belongs. And obviously there must be the elements of the Party of European Socialists and elements of the EPP, the European People's Party, which includes the Partido Popular, who must have voted in favour, otherwise numerically it wouldn't add up. So obviously the government is very happy with the result of the vote. We're happy that Gibraltar is included, and we're very grateful for the support we have received.
The Sunbourne Floating Hotel this week reached its final destination at Ocean Village. The multi-million-pound vessel that underwent a refit on arrival in Gibraltar was towed into place last Sunday and will open for business on the 1st of March.
Nearly 8 months after arriving in Gibraltar from Sunbourne Marine's shipyard in Malaysia, Sunbourne Gibraltar is now safely berthed at the Ocean Village Marina. The self-styled 5-star yacht hotel was towed the short distance from Coaling Island, giving onlookers something extra to enjoy on a sunny Sunday afternoon.
The whole procedure went flawlessly. There was no issues, no problems. Beautiful calm still day. Great support from all the service providers, from the police on the ribs, the government support, all the infrastructure people, all worked flawlessly, and our team did a great job. Technical guys were outstanding.
Good, and we saw how a lot of people were just watching the sight as the ship came in. I think we even got a round of applause at the end of it, but of course the acclaim isn't universal. We've seen some people on Facebook, on Twitter and the social networks saying that perhaps it's not as attractive as it might be, that it's almost a bit of an eyesore. I mean, what would you say to people like that?
Well, you know, that's a really difficult thing, isn't it? We've got this great thing about life and choice, with choice of colour, choice of style, whatever it may be. The thing about moving forward, the thing about progress, the thing about development is that not everybody moves at the same pace that it happens. You've got to look at it this way. Gibraltar PLC is a great success story. It's got a GDP that year after year keeps outperforming, keeps creating jobs. Wonderful opportunity for us. We need to have the infrastructure that works with that. If we don't have quality hotels, then we don't have that quality of infrastructure, then people will come here, not like it or not be able to function here and then leave again. So we turn it around almost immediately by providing this 5-star hotel.
The Sunbourne offers 189 guest rooms and suites over 8 floors. Amenities include a spa and fitness centre, cocktail lounges, fine dining restaurants and a ballroom. The owners describe the accommodation as beyond luxurious. So, how much can guests expect to pay for all this luxury?
Well, that'll depend. I mean, it's like any form of business. Look, the important thing is we've got a great corporate market here. We've got companies thriving, bringing their guests, their colleagues through here, their visitors, their clients. Now they've got somewhere to stay that's worthwhile. The second part of that, which is a really important facet, is the conference and event market. Gibraltar's never been able to offer this for a number of years since the old casino site closed down. Now we've got 21st century conference facilities. And as a consequence of that, we're already getting inquiries in the millions of pounds of people who want to bring business. So it's really good for Gib.
So is that your more likely market, the corporate visitor rather than the tourist?
Well, look, I always think of Gibraltar this way. Gibraltar's a business centre, it's a city, it's a thriving city. And we're seeing it through that GDP I talked about earlier. And we're seeing those businessmen saying, where can I stay, or renting apartments. We've got to change that dynamic. But no, of course there's other facets to the market. Weddings here. I'm told there's over 2,000 weddings in Gibraltar, of which 200, 250 a grand. Now these poor people, they get married and it's a great day, and then they've got nowhere to have the reception. We've changed that overnight. We've got a magnificent ballroom for 400 people with all the facilities you'd expect with it.
A local police officer was found guilty of misconduct this week at the Supreme Court. Royal Gibraltar police officer Cain Benteolo was tried in relation to an incident last year when he texted someone who'd been arrested for sending threatening messages, advising him to delete his texts. Benteolo was found guilty of misconduct by a majority verdict of 7-2. The jury was unable to reach a verdict on a second charge, that of perverting the course of justice, a charge which the Crown therefore will not proceed with. Justice Barrington Black presided over the case, with Christian Roca representing the defendant. Joan Fernandez appeared for the Crown, assisted by James Lenan. Cain Benteolo's next court appearance will be on the 4th of March to allow for the preparation of a pre-sentencing report. Now, in the multi-million-pound Maracha fraud trial, the judge, Sir Geoffrey Grigson, has refused applications by defence lawyers that there had been an abuse of process by the Royal Gibraltar Police in respect of evidence disclosure. With the case continuing, Isaac Marache has become the first defendant in this trial to take to the witness stand.
Acting for Isaac Marache, John Cooper QC had said the RGP's disclosure process was in chaos, but the judge disagrees. Sir Geoffrey has effectively stated the late disclosure of certain evidence has little bearing on the defendant's position in this trial. In his ruling, the High Court judge says he accepts the explanations given in live evidence by Chief Inspector Michael Lynch and Detective Inspector Tom Tunbridge as to how the new evidence came to be disclosed. Sir Geoffrey concludes the late disclosure by the RGP has not had an adverse effect on the trial. So, at 12 this afternoon, Isaac Marache started giving evidence. The 58-year-old was the senior and founding partner of the collapsed law firm Marache & Co. In answer to questions from his lawyer, Isaac Marache told the court he returned to Gibraltar in 2010 to clear his name. "I'm here to tell the truth," he said. "I've stolen from nobody." He looked somewhat emotional when he stated that since his arrest in May 2010, he hasn't been able to support his wife Sarah, who he said lives in America and is battling cancer. Isaac Marache also spoke of the 6 nights he spent at Moorish Castle Prison. He said the windowless stone prison was degrading, demeaning, dehumanizing. After lunch, John Cooper QC spent some time talking through a series of emails between Benjamin Marache and Jim Magna. Isaac Marache said he had no business dealings with Mr. Magna, who's claiming he lost millions of pounds because of Marache & Co. Isaac Marache, together with his younger brothers Solomon and Benjamin and Leanne Turnbull, have pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to defraud. He's expected to continue giving live evidence in response to his lawyers' questions till Thursday.